From TV to podcasts, everyone right now loves true crime and their popularity continues to grow. One part of the true crime that gets a lot of attention is serial killers, like the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. So why is there a big fascination with true crime? Right now, joining us to talk about the fascination is Amber McDonald. She is assistant professor at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus School of Medicine. And this is a topic that I am very excited to talk about. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So why are people so obsessed with TV shows like this, especially when it comes to Dateline or Netflix series like the one like Dahmer?
Well, I think that people are fascinated by human behavior generally, and especially when it's really taboo, right? It adds a little spice to it. I think the other element that we sometimes don't consider is the dopamine dump that occurs when we're watching, as well as the adrenaline. So there's a physiological component to watching these shows that gets really people hooked beyond just the story.
So is it both men and women, or is it women that are more obsessed with it? What do you think?
Often we see that women are far more interested than men. That doesn't mean men are not, or at least femme-identified folks. But yeah, it's more predominant with femme folks.
Psychologically, is there anything wrong with this? Should we be concerned?
Well, I think that everything in moderation, right? I think that some of the risks associated with some of these shows is increased paranoia, certainly. I think that it can perpetuate myths such as stranger danger and things like that. And I think it can create what we refer to as secondary trauma or secondary traumatic stress, where if you're getting that chemical dump all the time, it can increase kind of hypervigilance in other areas of your life.
You know, when we watch these seasons for the first time or rewatch them, does that change our opinion when it comes to a true crime or how we see a true crime?
It can. I think sometimes folks watching these then think that they have the skills to assess or maybe investigate them themselves, which is obviously not accurate. I do think that they can also create compassion for offenders when you hear the full story related to maybe the early adversity they experienced or some of the conflict they've had in their life, which led them to this place.
So it can make it controversial, you think?
It can. It can. I think media does a really beautiful job in terms of putting social issues out there for the community to assess and look at. Now, as long as they frame them accurately, right, that certainly helps when we start to examine them for ourselves.
So what should we keep in mind when we're watching these shows? Because I binge them a lot. I'm a true crime junkie for sure.
So what I would say to you is I would say, okay, everything in moderation. I always say if somebody's obsessed with something, what are you avoiding, right? Is there something going on that you're avoiding in there? And my biggest recommendation is I wouldn't do them in bed or right before sleep. I've had many folks call me and say, I'm struggling sleeping. I work with many first responders, and I ask them, are you watching Narcos, like when you can't sleep? And they say, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's creating all this chemical on top of the blue light of the television. So be careful. If you need rest, it's not restful.
So last question for you. So don't watch it before sleeping. So what's a good time to watch these documentaries?
Maybe around dinner time, and then watch something a little bit more peaceful to let your body relax a little bit if you need to get to bed.
Interesting. Anything else that you would like to add for the true crime junkies out there?
Be careful of how much you're watching them, and critically evaluate the information that's being put out for you and fact check it.
Amber, thank you so much for joining us.